General Vorthak stood in the great hall where 12 different alien races gathered to hear his story. His hand shook as he touched the device that would show them what happened. The other aliens looked at him with curious eyes. They had heard rumors about the failed attack on the human world called Earth. Now they would see the truth. "Listen carefully," Vorthak said in a voice that barely stayed steady. "What I am about to show you will change everything we thought we knew about war, and about the humans." The hologram began to play above their heads. It showed thousands of ships moving through space toward a small blue and green planet. The ships were huge and powerful. They had weapons that could destroy entire cities. They had shields that could stop any attack the galaxy had ever seen before. "This was our greatest fleet," Vorthak explained. 3,000 ships, each one bigger and stronger than anything the humans had ever built. "We thought we would win easily. We thought the humans would surrender when they saw our power." On the human world, Admiral Jake Morrison watched the alien ships approach. He stood on the bridge of a ship called the Liberty. It was humanity's newest and biggest warship, but it looked tiny compared to the alien vessels heading toward them. Captain Lisa Hayes stood next to the Admiral. She was looking at screens that showed how many enemy ships were coming. The numbers were frightening. 3,000 alien ships against maybe 300 human vessels. Any normal military leader would have been afraid. But these were humans. "Admiral," Hayes said calmly, "our sensors show 3,000 enemy ships approaching. Their biggest ships are 10 times larger than our heaviest cruisers. They have enough firepower to glass the entire planet." Morrison nodded slowly. His face showed no fear at all. He had fought in many battles before. He had seen humans do impossible things when they were protecting their families and their home. "This would be no different. Signal all ships," Morrison said. "Tell them to take defensive positions around Earth. And Lisa, send this message to every captain in the fleet. Tell them it is time to show these visitors what humans can do when we are fighting for our home." The alien general's voice became quieter as he continued telling his story to the council. "We had conquered 17 different star systems. We had never lost a single battle. Our ships were faster, bigger, and more heavily armed than anything we had ever faced. We thought the humans would be just another easy victory." The hologram showed the alien fleet getting closer to Earth. The ships moved in perfect formation. Each one was a masterpiece of alien engineering. They had energy shields that could stop planet-killer weapons. They had guns that could punch holes through moons. They had enough soldiers to occupy 100 worlds. But something was wrong. The human ships were not running away. They were not even trying to hide behind their planet's moon. Instead, they were moving into attack formation. The aliens could not understand this. How could such a small force think it could fight such a large army? "The humans should have surrendered," Vorthak told the council. "Any rational species would have given up when they saw our fleet." But the humans did something that made no sense. They prepared to fight us. Admiral Morrison called his senior officers to the bridge. These were men and women who had trained their entire lives for this moment. They knew they were facing impossible odds. They knew that by normal rules of war they had no chance of winning. But humans had never been very good at following normal rules. Commander Rick Sullivan arrived first. He led a squadron of small, fast ships that the humans called fighters. These ships were so small that the aliens barely considered them threats. Each fighter carried only 2 people and a few weapons. Against the massive alien dreadnoughts, they seemed useless. "Rick," Morrison said, "are your pilots ready for something completely crazy?" Sullivan grinned. This was the kind of question he had been hoping to hear. "Admiral, my people have been training for crazy their whole lives. What do you have in mind?" Captain Amy Foster joined them on the bridge. She commanded a science ship called the Newton. Her ship was not built for fighting. It was built for research and exploration. But Foster had been working on something that might change the rules of space combat forever. "Amy," Morrison said, "is your new toy ready to use?" Foster nodded. "The quantum displacement system is online. We have run every test we can think of. The theory is sound, but Admiral, we have never tried this in actual combat. If it fails, we will be sitting ducks." Morrison looked out at the approaching alien fleet. In a few hours, they would be close enough to start shooting. The humans had to act soon or Earth would be destroyed. Everything they had ever known or loved would be turned to ash. "Failure is not an option," Morrison said simply. "How long can the system run?" "Maybe 10 minutes, Foster replied. "The power requirements are enormous. After 10 minutes, our reactors will need time to cool down. Morrison smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of a predator who had just figured out how to catch his prey. 10 minutes should be plenty of time. The alien general's voice became even quieter as he reached the most important part of his story. We thought we understood warfare. We thought bigger ships and more guns always won battles. We thought the humans would fight us the same way every other species had fought us. We were wrong about everything. The hologram showed the human fleet taking positions around their planet. The ships looked so small compared to the alien vessels. It looked like a group of children trying to fight a pack of wolves. But appearances could be very deceiving. Dr. Kevin Turner worked frantically in his laboratory deep inside Earth's orbital command station. He was the scientist who had invented the technology that might save humanity. For years, he had worked on theories that other scientists thought were impossible. Now those theories were about to be put to the ultimate test. System check complete, Turner reported over the communication system. All quantum field generators are online. Displacement drives are ready for activation. Admiral, we are as ready as we will ever be. Morrison opened a channel to every human ship in the fleet. Thousands of men and women heard his voice. They knew that in the next few hours they would either save their world or die trying. There was no middle ground. This is Admiral Morrison, he said. In a few minutes we are going to show these aliens something they have never seen before. We are going to show them what happens when you threaten humanity's home. Remember, we are not just fighting for ourselves. We are fighting for every human who has ever lived and every human who will ever be born. Make them count. The alien fleet continued moving toward Earth, confident in their victory. They had no idea that they were about to face something that would change the galaxy forever. The alien fleet moved closer to Earth with complete confidence. General Vorthak watched from his command ship as his massive vessels prepared their weapons. He had seen this same scene many times before on many different worlds. The aliens always followed the same plan. Move in close, demand surrender, and if the enemy refused, destroy them with overwhelming firepower. But something felt different this time. The human ships were not running away or hiding. They were not even trying to group together for a desperate last stand. Instead, they were spreading out in strange patterns that made no sense to any military commander Vorthak had ever known. Sir, his communications officer reported. The humans are sending us a message, put it on screen, Vorthak ordered. He expected to see a frightened human leader begging for mercy. What he saw instead was Admiral Morrison, standing calmly on his ship's bridge with his hands behind his back. General Vorthak, Morrison said in a steady voice, I am Admiral Jake Morrison of the United Earth Space Command. You have entered our solar system without permission and with obvious hostile intent. I am giving you one chance to turn around and leave peacefully. Vorthak could not believe what he was hearing. This human was outnumbered 10-1 and he was making demands. Admiral Morrison, Vorthak replied, you are badly outnumbered. Surrender now and your people will be treated fairly. Refuse and we will destroy every ship you have, Morrison smiled. It was not the smile of a man who was afraid. General, you have no idea what you are dealing with. But you are about to find out. The transmission ended and Morrison turned to his crew. All right, people. It is time to show them something they have never seen before. Amy, activate the quantum displacement system. Rick, get your fighters ready for micro-jump operations. Captain Foster's fingers moved quickly over her control panel. Deep in the science ship Newton, machines that had never been used in combat before started humming with power. The quantum displacement drive was about to change the rules of space warfare forever. Displacement field generators are online, Foster reported. All fighters are equipped with micro-jump-capable drives. Admiral, the system is ready, but remember, we only have 10 minutes of power. Commander Sullivan was already in his fighter, strapped in and ready for the most dangerous mission of his life. Around him, 200 other human pilots prepared for something that had never been attempted before in the history of space combat. Phoenix Squadron, this is Commander Sullivan, he said over the radio. Today we are going to do something impossible. We are going to appear inside enemy ships, disable their systems, and disappear before they know what hit them. The eggheads tell me this should work. Let us hope they are right. The human fighters were tiny compared to the alien battleships. Each fighter was only about the size of the aliens' communication arrays. The aliens had weapons that were bigger than entire human ships. In normal space combat, the fighters would have been destroyed in seconds. But this was not normal space combat. Dr. Turner had discovered something that no other species in the galaxy had ever imagined. Humans had learned to manipulate the basic structure of space and time itself. "All fighters prepare for quantum displacement," Foster announced. "Remember, you will have only seconds inside each enemy ship before you need to jump out. Deploy your packages and get out fast." The alien fleet continued moving forward, completely unaware of what was about to happen. General Vorthak watched his sensors, looking for any sign that the humans were preparing some kind of conventional attack. His weapons officers reported that they were ready to fire as soon as they got within range. "Sir," the tactical officer reported, "human fighters are moving toward us. Should we open fire?" Vorthak looked at the display showing the tiny human ships. They were moving in straight lines directly toward his massive fleet. It looked like a suicide attack. "Hold fire," he ordered. "Let them get closer. I want to capture some of them alive for questioning." That was the last normal decision General Vorthak would make that day. Commander Sullivan activated his quantum displacement drive. One moment he was flying through empty space toward the alien fleet. The next moment he was inside the main hangar bay of an alien dreadnought. The transition happened so fast that his instruments barely registered it. "Phoenix 1 inside enemy vessel," Sullivan reported calmly. "Deploying nanite package now." He released a small metal sphere about the size of a baseball. The sphere immediately began to split apart, creating thousands of tiny machines that spread throughout the alien ship. These nanites had been programmed for one purpose: to disable every electronic system they found without hurting any living beings. Within seconds, the alien dreadnought's lights began to flicker. Emergency alarms started sounding as system after system shut down. The ship's engines stopped working. Its weapons went offline. Its communication systems died. "What is happening?" General Vorthak demanded from his command ship. "Report," but there was no answer. The dreadnought was completely dead in space. Sullivan activated his displacement drive again and vanished from inside the alien ship. A few seconds later, he reappeared in normal space, already moving toward his next target. All around the alien fleet, the same thing was happening. Human fighters were appearing inside alien ships for just a few seconds, long enough to deploy their nanite packages, then disappearing again. The aliens had no way to fight an enemy that could appear anywhere without warning. "Sir," the tactical officer on Vorthak's ship reported in a panicked voice, "we are losing ships. They are not being destroyed, they are just going dark. All systems are shutting down." Captain Nicole Price led another squadron of human fighters in a different kind of attack. Her ships carried devices that humans called gravity mines. These weapons created small areas where gravity worked differently, pulling enemy ships into positions where they could not fight back. "Tiger Squadron, this is Price," she announced, "deploying gravity mines around the enemy cruiser formation. Let us see how they like fighting while being pulled in 6 different directions at once." The gravity mines activated, and suddenly a dozen alien cruisers found themselves being pulled toward each other by forces they could not control. Their pilots tried to use their engines to break free, but the artificial gravity fields were too strong. "We have them trapped," Price reported. Moving in for nanite deployment, Colonel Steve Johnson coordinated the entire battle from Earth's orbital command center. He watched as human fighters appeared and disappeared all throughout the alien fleet like ghosts. The aliens were trying to shoot at targets that were never in the same place twice. "All squadrons report successful deployment," Johnson announced. "Enemy fleet effectiveness down by 40% and dropping fast." General Vorthak could not understand what was happening. His mighty fleet was being taken apart piece by an enemy he could not see or target. The humans were not destroying his ships, they were capturing them intact. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "How are they appearing inside our ships?" But his science officers had no answer. What the humans were doing was beyond anything the aliens had ever imagined possible. The battle had been going on for only 5 minutes, and already half of the alien fleet was floating helplessly in space, their crews alive but their ships completely disabled. Admiral Morrison watched the battle progress from the Liberty's bridge. "Status report," he ordered. 1,500 enemy ships disabled, Hayes reported. "No human casualties. The quantum displacement system is working perfectly." Morrison nodded. "Signal all squadrons. Begin Phase 2 of the operation. It is time to show them what we can really do." Phase 2 of Admiral Morrison's plan began exactly 7 minutes after the first human fighter had disappeared into an alien ship. By now, General Vorthak's fleet was in complete chaos. More than half of his ships were floating dead in space, their crews alive but trapped inside vessels that no longer responded to any commands. "Sir," Vorthak's communications officer reported with fear in his voice. "We are receiving distress calls from over 1,800 ships. All report complete system failures. The humans are not destroying us, they are taking our ships intact." Vorthak stared at his tactical display in disbelief. Red markers showed disabled ships scattered throughout his formation. The humans had turned his proud fleet into a collection of floating metal coffins in less than 10 minutes. "How many ships do we still have under our control?" he demanded. "Less than 1,200, sir, and that number is dropping every few seconds." Lieutenant Commander Ben Carter was leading the second wave of human attacks. His fighter materialized inside the shield perimeter of an alien heavy cruiser, but this time he was not carrying nanites. Instead, he released something that looked like a small silver cloud. "Deployment successful," Carter reported. "Micro-replicators are active." The silver cloud spread rapidly throughout the alien ship. Unlike the nanites that simply shut down systems, these new devices began to physically alter the ship's structure. They rewired control panels, modified weapon systems, and changed the ship's computer programming. Within minutes, the alien cruiser was no longer an alien ship at all. It had become part of the human fleet. Captain Foster watched the conversion process from her science ship. "Admiral," she reported, "the micro-replicators are working perfectly. We now have operational control of 43 enemy vessels. Their crews are unharmed but locked in their quarters for their own safety." Morrison nodded with satisfaction. "Excellent. Begin integrating those ships into our defensive grid. And Amy, start the stellar construction demonstration." The stellar construction demonstration was something that no alien species had ever seen before. Captain Dan Walsh, commanding the experimental ship Archimedes, moved his vessel toward the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. His ship carried technology that could manipulate matter at the molecular level across vast distances. "Beginning stellar engineering sequence," Walsh announced. "All ships maintain safe distance." The Archimedes extended invisible energy fields toward the asteroids. Within seconds, chunks of rock and metal began moving in impossible ways. They flowed like liquid, combining and reshaping themselves according to human design. The aliens watched in terror as an entire battleship began forming out of raw asteroid material. "Impossible," Vorthak whispered. "They are building ships from nothing but space rocks, but that was not the most frightening part." The battleship that took shape from the asteroids was an exact copy of Vorthak's own flagship. Every detail was perfect, from the weapon emplacements to the communication arrays. The humans had somehow scanned his ship and reproduced it in less than 5 minutes. "Sir," his science officer reported in a shaking voice, "they have created a perfect duplicate of our command vessel. But the energy reading suggested is not just a copy. It is an improvement. The human version is actually more powerful than our original." Commander Rick Sullivan was coordinating the third phase of the human attack. His fighters had moved beyond simply disabling alien ships. Now they were doing something that violated every known law of space combat. "Phoenix Squadron, prepare for mass displacement," Sullivan ordered. "We are going to move their entire reserve fleet to a new location." The human fighters surrounded a formation of 300 alien ships that had been held in reserve. These ships were still fully operational and posed a significant threat. But instead of attacking them, the humans did something impossible. Working together, the fighters activated their quantum displacement drives in a coordinated pattern. The entire alien formation simply vanished from where it had been and reappeared on the far side of Earth's moon. The ships were undamaged and their crews were unharmed, but they were now too far away to participate in the battle. "Where did they go?" Vorthak demanded. 300 ships cannot just disappear." His tactical officer checked his sensors twice before answering. "Sir, they are orbiting Earth's moon." Somehow the humans moved our entire reserve fleet 400,000 kilometers away in an instant. Captain Nicole Price had been given the most important assignment of all. Her squadron was tasked with capturing General Vorthak's command ship intact. This required precision that had never been attempted before in space warfare. "Tiger Squadron, this is Price," she announced, beginning surgical strike on enemy flagship. "Remember, we want the command crew alive and unharmed." Price's fighter materialized directly on the bridge of Vorthak's ship. But instead of releasing nanites or replicators, she deployed something entirely different. A field of energy spread from her fighter, creating a bubble that froze time inside the alien command center. Everything inside the bubble stopped moving. Vorthak and his officers found themselves unable to speak or move, but they could still see and think. They watched helplessly as human technicians materialized around them and began studying their equipment. Temporal stasis field is stable, Price reported. The enemy command staff is secure. Beginning data extraction. Dr. Rachel Green led the team of human scientists who appeared on the alien bridge. She was a xenobiologist who had spent years studying alien technology and culture. Now she had the chance to examine the most advanced alien command systems in the galaxy. "This is fascinating," Green said, as she studied the alien computers. "Their technology is actually quite primitive compared to ours. They rely on brute force instead of elegant solutions. The humans copied every piece of information from the alien ship's computers. They learned about the hegemony's military structure, their technology, and their plans for future conquests. All of this happened while the alien crew remained frozen in time, unable to prevent the theft of their secrets." Colonel Johnson watched the entire operation from his command center on Earth. "Admiral," he reported, "all objectives have been achieved. We have disabled or captured 90% of the enemy fleet. The remaining ships are scattered and no longer pose a threat." Morrison looked at the tactical display showing the results of the 10-minute battle. What had been the most powerful alien fleet in the galaxy was now either part of the human defense force or floating helplessly in space. "Signal the alien command ship," Morrison ordered. "It is time to release their general from stasis and explain the situation to him." The temporal field around General Vorthak collapsed, and he found himself able to move again. He looked around his bridge and saw that nothing had been damaged. His crew was unharmed, but everything had changed. Admiral Morrison's face appeared on the main screen. "General Vorthak," Morrison said calmly, "your fleet has been neutralized. Your ships are intact and your crews are safe. We have taken control of your vessels not to harm you, but to show you something important." Vorthak found his voice at last. "What do you want from us?" "We want you to understand," Morrison replied, "that this was not a battle. This was a demonstration. We could have destroyed every ship in your fleet in the first minute of combat. Instead, we chose to show you that there is a better way." The alien general looked at his tactical display and saw the impossible truth. His mighty fleet had been completely defeated without the loss of a single life on either side. General Vorthak stared at Admiral Morrison's face on his command screen. Around him, his bridge crew sat in stunned silence. Their mighty fleet had been neutralized in 10 minutes without the humans even trying to kill anyone. The alien general struggled to understand what had just happened. "You say this was a demonstration?" Vorthak said slowly. "What exactly were you demonstrating?" Morrison's expression became more serious. "General, you came here believing that bigger ships and more weapons always win battles. You thought humans would be easy to conquer because our ships look smaller than yours. You were wrong about everything." Captain Hayes stepped forward on the Liberty's bridge. "Admiral, all enemy vessels are secure. We have complete control of their fleet." "What are your orders?" Morrison nodded. "Begin the Terra demonstration. It is time our guests understood what we are really capable of." The Terra demonstration was something that had been planned for years, but never attempted. Human scientists had developed technology that could manipulate matter across entire star systems. They had kept this capability secret, hoping they would never need to use it. Captain Dan Walsh received the order on his experimental ship Archimedes. "All stations prepare for large-scale stellar engineering. We are going to show the aliens what human technology can really do." Walsh's ship moved toward the asteroid belt, but this time the target was much larger. Instead of building a single ship, the humans were going to create something that would change the aliens' understanding of what was possible. Dr. Kevin Turner worked frantically at his controls. "Quantum field generators at maximum power," he reported. "Molecular manipulation arrays are online. Admiral, we are ready to begin." What happened next would be remembered throughout the galaxy for generations. The humans reached out with invisible forces and began rearranging matter on a scale that no other species had ever imagined. Entire asteroids flowed like water, combining and reshaping themselves according to human will. But they were not building ships. They were building something much more impressive. "My God," whispered Vorthak's science officer as he watched the sensors. "They are constructing an entire space station from raw asteroids. The size of it is beyond belief." The space station that took shape was massive beyond comprehension. It was larger than most moons, with docking bays that could hold thousands of ships. Solar collectors spread like wings, gathering energy from the sun. Defensive platforms bristled with weapons that made the alien fleet's guns look like toys. Construction time, 17 minutes, Walsh reported. The station is fully operational and ready for use. Vorthak could not believe what he was seeing. That is impossible. No one can build something that large in such a short time. Morrison smiled. General, you keep using that word impossible. I do not think it means what you think it means. This station represents about 1% of human construction capability. We could build 100 of them if we needed to. But the demonstration was not finished. Dr. Rachel Green had been given permission to show the aliens something even more incredible. Her team had developed technology that could manipulate space and time itself on a planetary scale. Admiral, Green reported from her science vessel, temporal engineering systems are ready. Should we proceed with the time demonstration? Morrison considered carefully. What Green was proposing would reveal capabilities that humans had hoped to keep secret for many more years. But the aliens needed to understand exactly what they were dealing with. Proceed, Morrison ordered, but keep it small. We do not want to frighten them too much. Green activated devices that most humans did not even know existed. Around one of Jupiter's smaller moons, time began to move differently. In a bubble of altered space-time, millions of years passed in the span of a few minutes. The aliens watched in terror as the moon evolved before their eyes. Weather patterns formed and dissolved. Oceans appeared and dried up. Mountains rose and fell. Entire geological ages passed in moments. They are manipulating time itself, Vorthak's science officer reported in a voice filled with awe and fear. They have technology that controls the fundamental forces of the universe. Commander Rick Sullivan had been given the task of showing the aliens human military doctrine. His fighters formed up in perfect formation and began a display that demonstrated human tactical thinking. Watch carefully, Sullivan announced over an open channel so the aliens could hear. This is how humans fight when we are not holding back. The human fighters began moving in patterns that defied physics. They appeared and disappeared across light years of space in seconds. They created formations that existed in multiple dimensions at once. They demonstrated weapon systems that could destroy planets or move them to different orbits. Each of these small fighters, Sullivan explained, carries enough firepower to destroy a star. We could have used them to eliminate your entire fleet in the first second of combat. We chose not to because we do not believe in unnecessary killing. Captain Nicole Price coordinated a demonstration of human defensive capabilities. Her ships created energy barriers that could stop any known weapon. They generated force fields that could protect entire planets from attack. Our defensive technology, Price announced, can shield our solar system from any threat. Your weapons could not penetrate our barriers even if you fired continuously for 1,000 years. But the most impressive demonstration came from Captain Amy Foster and her science ship, Newton. She had been ordered to show the aliens human knowledge of the universe itself. General Vorthak, Foster said over the communication channel, your species has been traveling between stars for thousands of years. You think you understand the galaxy, but you have only seen the surface of what exists. Foster activated sensors that could detect things beyond normal matter and energy. The displays on both human and alien ships suddenly showed a universe that was far more complex than anyone had imagined. There are 7 different dimensions of space overlapping our own, Foster explained. There are forms of life that exist in pure energy. There are civilizations that live inside stars. Your 3-dimensional thinking has blinded you to 90% of reality. The aliens stared at readings that showed entire galaxies existing in parallel dimensions. They saw energy beings that spanned light years of space. They discovered that what they thought was empty vacuum was actually filled with countless forms of life they had never detected. This is impossible, Vorthak said again, but his voice lacked conviction. He was beginning to understand that humans had a very different definition of impossible. Colonel Steve Johnson provided the final demonstration from Earth's command center. He activated systems that showed the aliens the true scope of human civilization. General, Johnson said, you see one solar system and think you understand humanity. But we have been exploring the galaxy for longer than your species has existed. We have colonies in dimensions you cannot perceive. We have allies among energy beings and machine intelligences. The displays showed a network of human outposts scattered across the galaxy and beyond. Some existed in normal space, others in parallel dimensions. Some were built around artificial stars that humans had created. Others floated in the spaces between galaxies. How long have you been hiding this from us? Vorthak asked. Morrison answered, We have not been hiding anything, General. We simply do not advertise our capabilities unless we have to. Most species in the galaxy are not ready to know what humans can do. You forced us to show you by threatening our home. The alien general looked at his tactical displays and realized the full scope of his mistake. He had brought his fleet to attack what he thought was a primitive world. Instead, he had challenged a species that could reshape reality itself. What happens now? Vorthak asked quietly. Morrison's expression softened. Now, General, we talk. We show you that there is a better way than conquest and war. We show you what the galaxy could become if species worked together instead of fighting each other. The Great Hall of the Council of Worlds had never been so quiet. General Vorthak finished telling his story and stepped back from the holographic display. The representatives of 12 alien civilizations sat in stunned silence as they tried to process what they had just heard. The humans defeated our most powerful fleet in 10 minutes, Vorthak said quietly, but that was not the most frightening part. The most frightening part was learning that everything we thought we knew about the galaxy was wrong. Ambassador Helen Carter rose from her seat at the back of the hall. She was humanity's first official representative to the galactic community, chosen specifically because she understood both human capabilities and alien concerns. As she walked toward the center of the chamber, every eye followed her. Honored members of the council, Carter began in a calm voice. General Vorthak has told you the truth about what happened at Earth, but he has not told you the most important part of the story. He has not told you what happened after the demonstration ended. The holographic display above their heads changed to show the aftermath of the battle. The alien fleet floated peacefully in space around Earth, their crews unharmed but their ships under human control. Admiral Morrison appeared on the screen, standing on the bridge of an alien vessel that had been converted to human technology. General Vorthak, Morrison said in the recording, your fleet is now part of our defensive grid. Your crews are safe and will be treated with respect, but before we send you home, there is something you need to see. The scene changed to show General Vorthak being escorted through corridors that he did not recognize. Human technicians worked alongside alien engineers, sharing knowledge and improving both species' technology. Alien crew members who had been enemies hours before were now working as partners with human specialists. Where are we? Vorthak asked in the recording. You are on one of our deep space research stations, Morrison replied. This station has been here for over 200 years. Your fleet passed within a few light years of it on your way to Earth, but your sensors could not detect it. The recording showed vast laboratories where humans and dozens of different alien species worked together on projects that would benefit everyone. Some researchers were finding cures for diseases that had plagued entire worlds. Others were developing new forms of energy that could power civilizations for millions of years. We have been waiting for your species to develop enough wisdom to join us, Morrison explained to Vorthak in the recording. We hoped you would make contact peacefully. When you chose to invade instead, we had to show you why that was a mistake. Ambassador Carter paused the recording and looked around the council chamber. What Admiral Morrison showed General Vorthak that day was the truth about human civilization. We have not been hiding from the galaxy because we are weak. We have been waiting for other species to become ready for what we can offer them. One of the council members, a tall being with blue skin and 6 arms, spoke up. You are saying that humans have been watching us all along, Carter nodded. For thousands of years, we have observed the development of galactic civilization. We have seen species rise and fall. We have watched wars destroy entire star systems. We have waited for the day when the galaxy would be ready for something better. The recording resumed, showing General Vorthak being taken to a vast chamber filled with representatives from hundreds of different species. Many of these aliens came from civilizations that the hegemony thought had been destroyed long ago. The Altrani, Vorthak whispered in the recording as he recognized one group. But we destroyed their homeworld 3 centuries ago. No, Morrison replied. You destroyed an empty planet. We evacuated the entire population before your fleet arrived. They have been living safely in human space ever since, working with us to develop better ways of resolving conflicts. The truth was staggering. Every species that the hegemony had thought they had conquered was actually alive and thriving under human protection. The humans had been secretly rescuing entire civilizations and relocating them to safe worlds in dimensions that the hegemony could not detect. Dr. Rachel Green appeared in the recording. explaining the human philosophy to the bewildered alien general. "We believe that every intelligent species has something valuable to contribute to the galaxy," she said. "When we see a species in danger, we help them. When we see a species becoming aggressive, we try to guide them toward better paths. And when a species refuses to listen," Morrison added, "we demonstrate why cooperation is better than conquest." The recording showed Vorthak meeting with leaders of species he thought were extinct. They explained how humans had given them new homes, new purposes, and new hope. They spoke of technologies that could heal worlds damaged by war and bring peace to systems torn apart by conflict. "But why?" Vorthak asked in the recording. "Why help species that cannot offer you anything in return?" Captain Amy Foster answered that question. "Because that is what intelligent beings do for each other. We help because we can help, not because we expect rewards." Ambassador Carter addressed the council again. General Vorthak learned that day that humans do not seek to dominate or control other species. "We seek to protect and nurture the development of galactic civilization. We have the power to rule the galaxy by force, but we choose instead to guide it through wisdom." The recording showed the moment when General Vorthak finally understood the full scope of what humans had accomplished. His fleet had not just been defeated by superior technology. It had been defeated by a species that had transcended the need for war altogether. "How many worlds do you protect?" Vorthak asked Morrison in the recording. "Currently, we provide direct protection for over 50,000 inhabited systems," Morrison replied. "We provide indirect support for millions more. Most of the species we help do not even know we exist." The revelation struck the council like a physical blow. Humans were not just another species struggling to survive in a hostile galaxy. They were the hidden guardians who had been protecting everyone else for millennia. Commander Tony Mitchell appeared in the recording to explain the technical aspects of human civilization. "Our technology allows us to monitor every star system in the galaxy simultaneously," he said. "We can detect threats before they develop and intervene when necessary. We have prevented 17 different species from developing planet-killing weapons. We have stopped 43 wars before they could begin." The recording showed vast networks of sensors and communication systems that spanned multiple galaxies. Human observers watched over countless worlds, ready to help whenever help was needed. It was a level of responsibility and capability that no other species had ever imagined possible. "The most important thing General Vorthak learned," Carter told the council, "was that humans judge other species not by their technology or their military power, but by their willingness to choose cooperation over conflict." The recording ended with General Vorthak standing on the bridge of his flagship as it was returned to his control. All of his ships had been repaired and improved with human technology. His crews had been educated about the true nature of the galaxy they lived in. "General," Morrison said in the final scene, "you came here as an enemy, and you leave as a potential ally. What you do with this knowledge is up to you. You can return to your old ways of conquest and war, or you can help us build something better." Vorthak's response in the recording would become famous throughout the galaxy. "Admiral Morrison," he said, "my species has spent centuries believing that strength comes from the ability to destroy your enemies. Today you have shown us that true strength comes from the wisdom to turn enemies into friends. We choose wisdom." Ambassador Carter looked around the council chamber one final time. "That choice is now before all of you," she said. "Humanity extends an invitation to every species represented here. Join us in building a galaxy where cooperation replaces conquest, where knowledge replaces ignorance, and where the strong protect the weak instead of exploiting them." The Council of Worlds voted unanimously to accept humanity's invitation. The age of galactic warfare had ended, and the age of galactic cooperation had begun.